Hey guys, welcome back to the Albanian, and I got another issue here. My garage door won't open, and everybody can guess why. The spring, which is like a counterweight for the whole garage door, which helps basically the motor here to pull the garage door, broke. So now the motor doesn't have the crank power to pull it up. And I went ahead and purchased another spring and the two rods that you need to unwind the spring, and there's a hole and here's another hole. Basically you unwind them in 45 degrees increments. It's a job where you have to be very careful, and the way the spring works is basically it winds up and it has tension that with the help of the spools here, as you can see here. The cable also fell out when this thing broke. So this will wind up into the spool. Same thing over there, which in turn helps the garage door, grabs basically the garage door and helps the, like I said, the motor to pull it up again. In my opinion, it's not too bad to do it yourself. I mean, by all means, if you don't feel comfortable doing this, do not attempt doing this. Because especially with the spring, boy, that has some power in it. It can unleash and kind of like spring back and hurt somebody if you really don't know what you're doing. But other than that, looks like it's just hooked up with two bolts here. And then at the front part, we got two set screws here. One here and one over here. The spring, however, has like three different things that you need to look out for in order whenever you buy a new one. It's actually the thickness of the rod here. It's the next one is so how big the spiral is. So this is a 2-inch opening, and the other one is the total length of the spring. So try to get the exact same one, or in my opinion, something very close. You can't, however, cannot find the exact same ones you have already. Then at least go with a tad higher strength, which is maybe the spring itself is thicker, which gives it more power, more, cranking power, I guess you might call it. And as far as the length, I will go a tad longer if you can find the exact one. Just basically go with a little stronger version. All right, so first we're gonna loosen up the set screws. I'm using a 7/16. Get this to the right hand side. All right, once this is loose, the other end is loose as well. And we got this here loose as well. Now we need this here to loosen up. But I'm gonna need both of my hands to do this, guys. So let me go ahead and undo these two bolts and slide this off the rod. All right, so I loosened this up. And now they can freely be unscrewed. It's a size number 14 millimeters, if you guys wondering. Yep, slides freely here. I need to check on my new one, if the new one has this plastic round part here at the end. If not, I probably have to reuse this. Slide this out and get it off the hook here. And I'm gonna need both my hands again, because I have to hold it at the same time and slide the broken spring out of here. Alright, and as you can see, my newer one is longer than the existing one, which is fine with me. The new one doesn't come with this cap here, so I'm gonna have to reuse it. Okay, you want to tighten this side up. Right now, at this point, doesn't matter where exactly the cabling here is gonna go. Once we tighten up the other one, then that's where we have to look at the cabling positioning. You don't want to go too far in, just enough that it creates a groove. Now with the cabling, you want to go behind, like this. And right here, it already has the groove for the cabling. It's not here in the middle, which almost looks identical. And you're gonna find that it leads to an opening here, as you can see here. That's where the cable and the stopper here goes right in there and into that groove. And it locks in there. That's how this is gonna wind up the cable. Okay, same thing here. Put this right back in here. And before we screw them in, now it's a good time to rewind the cable back into where it belongs to. Let's put this in here. And we'll start spooling this in here. The cable is under tension. And on the other side, same exact tension as this, because this is the most important part here. We want to keep them exactly at the same tension. Okay, by doing this, then you want to go ahead and tighten the set screws in. It's a little bit tricky to do this, but we'll get it eventually. One way to check it that these two spools have the same tension with the cable on the door is that when you actually try to now, here let me show you, when you try now to crank on it, like spin this rod, I'm gonna do it with the help of this. So you can see the level of the garage door. It's not, you know, going up in a crooked way. It needs to be coming up level basically. So when you do this, you can kind of tell the garage is level. So that's a way to tell that the tension is the same in both of these spools here. Alrighty, so that was actually the hardest part, just to get this, you know, tricky situation here work right. Other than that, it's just easy now to get the spring back in place. Now that everything is hooked up, except this part here, because this is the part that we're gonna crank up, gonna wind it to the desired force that's gonna apply. So when you lift the garage, you should be able to lift the garage with one finger. And we're gonna go in quarter turns. Make sure when you place this inside, you got a good grip on it. Okay, right about here, I'm gonna start putting the set screws in place. Okay, and so right here, we're gonna slowly release this back in place so you can apply tension now. So slowly put this back. Now we can check the garage door and see how easy it is now to lift it. If not, then we're gonna have to wind it up some more. Hey guys, all right, you noticing a difference here? Yep, this used to be actually here on the flip side. So when I stopped the video earlier and I was still trying to crank on it and wind it up, I noticed that there was something not right. The spiral was going in a different direction than it was supposed to be. So when I checked it with the old one, with the existing one that I had, the one that got broken, the spiral was completely different. So it wasn't meant to be wind up this way, but actually this way. So what I did, instead of going back to the website and claiming the return and telling those people that, hey, you sent me a wrong one. So what I just ended up doing is I basically flipped it from being on the left-hand side here, the opposite side here. So now when I wind it winds up the correct way. Basically, I just went ahead and I redid the same thing, what I just showed you earlier in the video, but the only difference is instead of being over here on this side, it's flipped on this side. And I just went ahead and I did the exact steps that I just showed you guys. So now everything is hooked up. Now to test it, the garage door, you need to unlatch this, of course, so you can freely move the garage door. And the tension with this, it should be enough for you to pull the garage door with one finger. That's how much tension it needs. So basically, if I do this, and it actually has a little bit more tension than it's supposed to, because it's already pulling the garage door by itself. So almost no help. So, and then it should be able to close it right back. See how it has more tension than it's supposed to, but that's fine. That's how I want it, because what happens is over time that spring is gonna weaken. It's gonna weaken and it's gonna go almost at the same tension that the garage door needs, where you probably won't be able to lift it with one finger. Maybe you probably need 2 fingers to lift it. Okay, so now we're gonna try the garage door. Let's flip this back here. Make sure it's back in there. And let's hit it up. Good to go. And of course, goes right back down here. So yeah, all in all, job is done. With a little exception here that instead of being on this hand side, it was on the other side. And all I did is literally, if you can see the base here, it only had 2 screws. So I just undid those 2 screws and brought it over here. Nothing to it really. So now it's good to go. Well, hopefully this video helped you. Hopefully it wasn't too confusing on what just went on here. And I'll catch you guys next time. Thank you for watching.